Greetings, everyone, and welcome. June the 24th, 2025, coming to you now with really breaking news where I've tried to put together the facts that have unfolded today, specifically in regard to the strike on the Fordow nuclear facility. We know that we've had leakages. We know that we have had canceled meetings. We also saw this morning when President Donald Trump left for the NATO meetings in Europe, he was dropping F-bombs about Iraq and Iran, and I would never even play that video. It's so disgusting, but it all plays together. You can see him under immense pressure because most likely he's getting information in that he doesn't like, but the narrative has to stay the same. And I know that now this afternoon, we've had leaks from CNN. We've had leaks from the Pentagon or CNN reporting those links. The bottom line, it's showing that we have basically busted this theory that everything is obliterated. So I'm going to try to lay this out for you. And I was actually waiting for a response from Israel, and it just came in, and I'm going to share that with you as well, also from the IAEA. So let's look at the facts only tonight and evaluate. For me, I think it's busted. There's no way that what Donald Trump has said has actually happened. So let's jump right to it here. Just minutes ago, before recording this video, he's here stating obliterated. This was about 15 minutes ago. Obliterated. Detroit Free Press. Okay, back to the original press conference. 3 minutes before that, Donald Trump is tweeting Steve Witkoff on Fox News talking about 12 bunker buster bombs on Fordow. No doubt that it breached the canopy. I did not know that in addition to Witkoff being a golfing buddy of Donald Trump, a real estate tycoon, a negotiator of a failure in policy in Russia, a failure in negotiations with Iran, he now is an expert on bunker busting bombs. You know, Witkoff, I guess he also invented the internet. I don't know, but it's ridiculous. This is the sources that Donald Trump is using. Witkoff. Now, what do we have? Facts only. Scheduled security briefings for Congress related to escalating tensions between Israel and Iran have been canceled today. That's a fact. Schumer is angered. There you can see Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, all of them. They're even Republicans. They're angry because they're not getting the evolved circumstances that the White House is holding back on. And for sure, it can be connected to the leak coming out of the Pentagon, and CNN is reporting it. And then Donald Trump trashes every news agency on the planet as fake news. But he is the one relying on Steve Witkoff and putting the Detroit Free Press headline as his sources versus looking at experts. Now, from that, I said, okay, there's got to be more to this story. Israel I-24 tonight, and it was just a couple of hours ago, guys, just a couple of hours ago, they're talking about how to actually destroy the nuclear site there in Fordow, and here it is.
Can only be dismantled from within. Let's stop with the illusions and fantasies, either from inside or by hundreds of bombs falling one after another. Israel has a plan to do this. Why didn't they do it? A question for the coming years. What's troubling is we aimed to dismantle Iran's nuclear program but failed. They still have enriched uranium and active facilities waiting patiently. Carefully, I say, the Iranians haven't said their last word. Those unfamiliar with Shiites, Arabs, and Persians don't get it. Revenge is served cold. I'm telling you, it was a mistake. Trump really took a huge hit. I hope we don't pay the price.
And there you have it. I mean, this is now becoming more and more of the real story. This coming after or about the same time that CNN was putting this out.
Worth noting here that there has been dissent, I should say, within the intelligence community, within the defense community about just how much of an impact these massive bunker buster bombs would actually have on Iran's nuclear facilities. It was far from certain, given that these bombs had never been tested in an actual combat scenario, whether they would actually penetrate those very, very deep underground tunnels that lie underneath these nuclear facilities. And what we are told is that as of now, this Defense Intelligence Agency assessment statement, it does conclude at this point, again, it is still very early, that those underground facilities, including the centrifuges, including the highly enriched uranium that everyone has been talking so much about, those are largely intact. Now, of course, this does stand at odds with what President Donald Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth have been saying in recent days about the impact of these U.S. military strikes. Of course,
Okay, so you may say, okay, well, Greg, we see the Israeli from the Hebrew. You translated that in English for us, the CNN that everybody's trying to debunk about the leak. Okay, that's two sources talking about this. She talked about the inability to know where the enriched uranium was. So I think logically then we need to go here, facts only grossy. We do not know where anything is.
I have to be very precise, Martha. I have to be very, very precise.
Of course.
We are the IAEA, so we are not speculating here. We do not have information of the whereabouts of this material. So this is why I'm asking, we are making an assumption, which is not a speculative or pure speculation, because Iran officially told me we are going to be taking protective measures, which may or may not include moving around this material. So it is quite obvious, you are asking me about it, that there is a question there. Where is this? So the way to ascertain that is to allow the inspection activity to resume.
So there you have it. Now you have Grossi saying, I don't know. They told me they were going to take everything out and take protective measures. I don't know where the enriched uranium is. I look at this objectively, where the IAEA go back to the Israeli who was saying, a few bombs from the top aren't going to do it. I don't care what bunker busters. They've never been tested in real situation. We really don't know. But Donald Trump is saying everything's obliterated and then canceling press brief or security briefings with Congress. In fact, the Israeli guy says it can only be done from the inside or hundreds of bombs. And trust me, they know. They absolutely know how protected these enrichment sites were in these nuclear places. And you know, guys, right now, we don't know anything other than what we're being fed through tweets and very nasty rhetoric. But it's coming out. Now, you say, okay, well, Greg, you showed us Israeli. Good, thank you. You showed us CNN. Okay, Trump hates them, but still, they have the source on this. You showed us the IAEA. What about showing us a MAGA dude? Show us a Republican. Okay. How about Lindsey Graham just a little while ago?
As to the ceasefire, it's a good thing if it leads to peace. It will be a step backward if it leads to an ability of Iran to rearm and retool. And the head atomic scientist in Iran, the one who's still alive, said they're going right back to enrichment. So I'm not so sure we've solved the problem yet.
Boom. There you have it, Lindsey Graham. Not sure we solved the problem yet. You know, that's completely different than President Trump obliterated and Steve Witkoff, the bunker bomb analyst from heaven. So we've looked at it, facts only, every angle for sure. We've not heard the last of this. And unfortunately, President Donald Trump cannot handle pressure. That's a fact. He cannot handle anyone speaking against him or questioning. And you want him to negotiate with Vladimir Putin? Udachi. In Russian, that means good luck. Not going to happen. So there you have it, guys. Thank you for being here, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. We're growing together, trying to share the truth. Be blessed. Staying on top of it. I'm watching Israel stuff right now.